Welcome everyone to the webinar today on the FLSUN Solar Power Co-op. My name is Chris Carnevale. I'm the Coastal Climate and Energy Manager for the Southern Alliance for Clean Energy, and on behalf of SACE, I'd like to welcome you. For those of you who are not familiar with the Southern Alliance for Clean Energy, we're a nonprofit organization that promotes responsible energy choices that address the impacts of global climate change and ensure clean, safe, and healthy communities throughout the Southeast. We're a membership organization, and we'd like to acknowledge our members on this call and encourage those of you who are not members to please join us today. For ways in which you can become a member and get involved, please visit our website, cleanenergy.org. This webinar is part of our Southeast Coastal Climate Network webinar series and Florida Climate Alliance webinar series. The Florida Climate Alliance exists to share information among Floridians interested in moving Florida to action on climate change. To this end, we have a mailing list and tools such as our webinar series. To join the Florida Climate Alliance, please email me at chris@cleanenergy.org. Again, that's chris@cleanenergy.org. Now I'd like to take a moment to review the basic functions of the WebEx control panel on the right-hand side of your screen. To ensure sound quality, all attendee lines will be muted throughout this presentation. Go ahead and find the three buttons along the top of your control panel. If you're having trouble hearing or seeing the slides, click the blue chat button and type in your problem so that we can help you troubleshoot. We've saved time at the end of this presentation to answer questions about today's topic. To ask a question, click the question mark button along the top of your screen. Make sure that all panelists is showing up in the drop-down menu. Then type your question into the questions text box. We'll do our best to answer the questions in the order we receive them. Joining us today as presenters, we have Deirdre Macnab and Angela DeMonbreun. Now chairing the Florida League of Women Voters campaign, Make Florida #1 in Solar, Deirdre Macnab served 6 years as the League's Florida State President, presiding over the Fair District's victories and several successful election protection lawsuits. She's been recognized as the most influential Central Floridian of the Year by the Orlando Sentinel, Environmental Woman of the Year by Audubon, and Woman of Accomplishment by the Florida Commission of Women. When not spreading the gospel of solar, she loves exploring Florida and America's forests and wild lands by horseback. Then we'll hear from Angela DeMonbreun, who serves as the FLSUN Program Director. She develops and manages the Florida Co-op, provides technical support for residents and organizations wishing to go solar, and supports policy advocacy for solar in Florida. So with that, I'll turn it over to Deirdre.
All right, good afternoon, everybody, on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon in Florida. It is a pleasure to be with you all today, and I want to give a special shout out to Southern Alliance for Clean Energy, who organized this call, and thank them for their incredible leadership on the 2 solar amendments that we all worked on last year, passing Amendment 4 in August and stopping Amendment 1 in November. Thank you to Southern Alliance for Clean Energy for your leadership on that. And now, what I'd like to talk about, to me, is something that I know we're all excited about because you're spending a beautiful day on the phone listening to this webinar. I suspect most of you like to watch movies and read books about famous people. Well, I believe that we have an opportunity together to play a part in writing history for Florida, for the United States, and for this planet. And that is through becoming ambassadors for solar energy. And very frankly, we're here today to recruit you in that campaign because this is going to need to be a grassroots effort to make America go to renewable energy. And the time is now because with great excitement, the cost of solar has fallen so dramatically that it is now much less to use than natural gas and fossil fuels. So this is a very exciting time, and I'm going to move through my part of the presentation very quickly, and then Angela takes over, and I know we both want to get to your questions. So really quickly, you can see on your screen a very famous inventor and visionary, Thomas Edison, and he lived in Sarasota many years ago, Sarasota, Florida, and he said, I put my money on the sun and solar energy. I hope we don't have to wait until oil and coal run out before we tackle that. And today, it is exciting to see the dramatic drop in price that we are seeing nationally. Florida has incredible potential. I think most of you know that. Experts say we should be among the top 3 nationally. They also say we should be the #1 on the East Coast. But right now, because of many issues, and foremost is our very powerful utilities and the legislature, who has not in the past been supportive of solar, we are now 14th to 20th. But we are moving fast. And added to that is the fact that more population is coming to our state. And we have, as really living on a sandbar here, a unique responsibility and opportunity to lead the charge and write history in the adoption of renewable energy by America. Interestingly, Florida spends about 40% more than the rest of the country, not because the per unit cost of electricity is higher, but because we're energy hogs, and that's because of our many, many hot days. So Florida was headed in the wrong direction, but we saw the legislature ending solar rebates in 2015, and just with no sense at all, cutting energy efficiency goals. But 2016 was a good year for solar, and it was a good year because of the work that all of you did and the participation of several groups, as well as the leadership of Southern Alliance for Clean Energy. We passed Amendment 4 by 73%, and even though the utilities put in $26 million, we were able to slay the giant and make sure that Amendment 1 failed. Today is actually an exciting day in the legislature. We're very hopeful that we continue to be able to beat back the power of the utilities, because it looks like Amendment 4 implementation is proceeding in a rocky way, and we've got many boots on the ground up there working hard to make sure it's a good, clean bill and what the voters intended. So what's wrong with this picture? Right now, Florida gets 0.1% of their electricity from solar. That doesn't make any sense at all, and that's why Florida was one of 10 states to earn an F grade. But we are turning that around. They say think globally, act locally. What we're going to talk about today, our FLSUN co-ops, this is going to take our work. It's going to take our time. So what's stopping consumers from adopting solar? Really, in the past, it's been 2 things. It's a new technology, so knowledge, and secondly, it's been too expensive, so it's been price. And that's why the League of Women Voters partnered with a group out of Washington, D.C. called Community Power Network. And I'm going to just super fast tell the story about how that got started, because it's a beautiful one. It was a 12-year-old boy who went to see An Inconvenient Truth, and he came home in Washington and he told his mom, we've got to get solar on our roof. And he kept pestering her and pestering her. She got a price. It was too expensive. She said, if you can get the neighborhood to go solar and we can get the price down, we'll think about it. Well, he and his buddy Jose slipped little yellow slips of paper under people's doors. They had 100 people show up. 50 people went solar, and they were able to get a very competitive price. And that price has been in a free fall. Right now in Florida, what they're telling us, and they're in several states now, we have the lowest prices in the country on installed solar because of using the concept of bulk purchasing, grouping consumers together in order to negotiate lower prices. So what is a solar co-op? Angela's going to go into more detail about this, but very simply, it's like a Costco. You got lots of consumers, you're buying more at one time, you're able to negotiate a lower price. And then basically the competitive bidding process goes out to any Florida installer who wants to bid on the work, and then the lowest price is selected by those participants who are in the co-op, and then each homeowner who has said and signed up to be a participant has the option of whether they want to go ahead or not with the selected installer. There is no obligation. So the key to this is getting people to come to public solar information sessions, and people will stay an hour longer than the presentation with their questions. I know Angela's been going all across the state to do these, and I've been going across the state to talk to different groups about getting involved and helping us start these. And when I start a presentation, I say, please raise your hand if you've thought about solar for your own home. And inevitably, almost every hand in the whole room goes up, because solar is on the top of people's minds in Florida, the Sunshine State. They're hungry for information, and that's what these public information sessions do. It gives them a safe place to come, learn about how the technology works, get their questions answered, and understand that if they bond together as a neighborhood co-op, a nonprofit neighborhood co-op, they're going to have the opportunity to get a really high-quality installer and a very competitive price. So how can those of you who are on the call tonight get involved? Well, you can help spread the word. You can help us start a co-op, and we've had enormous success. It hasn't even been 1 year since we started this in Florida. We've started 9 co-ops. St. Pete was the first, followed by Orange County, then Brevard County, Sarasota. Last week we kicked off in Alachua. In 2 weeks we'll kick off in Seminole County, followed by 6 co-ops in Miami-Dade. And then in the fall, we have plans to start in Palm Beach, Jacksonville, Hillsborough, and North Pinellas. So things are, and Angela is going to go into more detail. She is our state director. She is the one who comes and works with groups of people who want to get started once they've got the steering committee together. So both of us are good points of contact as you get going, and Angela is the one who does the hard work and helps with the whole process of the installation. So here are some of our partners. Partnership is key to success, getting lots of groups involved and reaching out to your personal connections. The result of the co-op is happy, educated consumers. I put solar on my roof a year ago. The last 3 months, my bill has been $10 this month, minus $1 the month before, $14 before that. So I am looking at paying off my system in about 5 years. We had Jim Fenton, the director of the Solar Energy Center for UCF, on our phone call last night, and he said that most consumers in Florida are generally paying about 12 cents a watt. He said solar energy now at the prices with the co-ops is about 4 cents. So it's 1/3 of fossil fuel energy. So that's why the time of this makes so much sense. But the only way it will succeed and the opportunity for us to create history is through these co-ops. So let's get going. Give Angela or myself a call. And now it is my pleasure to introduce you, or maybe Chris will be doing that, to our next speaker, who has really been pivotal to the success of this effort. Angela DeMonbreun.
Okay, thank you, Deirdre and Chris and Faith for hosting this awesome webinar. Deirdre covered a lot. I will go over a little more in depth, but not take too much time going over what is a co-op and the co-op process, and then I kind of can brief you all on the current progress and the future co-ops we have going. So what exactly is a solar co-op? A solar co-op is a group of homeowners in a defined geographic area. In the case of Florida, it can be neighborhoods, it could be streets, and it could be counties. Most of our Florida co-ops are county-based, but it's really up to the partners and you on the ground on just helping me define that geographic region. So that defined geographic area who use their combined bulk buying power to save on the total cost of going solar. Solar installers face significant cost finding solar customers, and so by forming a group of interested buyers, a co-op member can receive significant discount because the group has done some of the work for the installer. Co-op members also have the benefit of working with a group your neighbors, your friends, the people literally in your neighborhood, as well as with FLSUN and our team to help educate and guide co-op members through the installation process. So how does the co-op purchase work? Essentially, when we launch a co-op in a defined area, for example, right now, Alachua County just launched last week, last Thursday. So we have a group of homeowners that are currently going to the site through FLSUN.org, and they're choosing their open co-op, Alachua County. They're signing up. They're inputting their name and address, and essentially that's it. Maybe we encourage them to indicate what's important to them, what type of roof you have, what's important to them as far as when we get to the installer stage, sending out a request for proposal on their behalf. So you would sign up on the website, and then we will conduct a roof review, usually between 24 and 48 hours, and we will let you know if you have a good roof to go solar or not, and why. We certainly don't encourage people, if they have a lot of shade, beautiful trees, to cut them down. So and then essentially you're a co-op member and you move forward. When we have a amount such as 30 to 40 co-op members that have good roofs and are moving forward, then we, on behalf of the group, send out a request for proposal to all local and state installers that would like to bid on the group. They have a couple weeks. In the meantime, I am contacting those co-op members and asking who would like to serve on the selection committee. That selection committee is solely made up of the co-op members. Then after I receive all of the bids, we make a spreadsheet for you and come and I would ask for a location for the selection committee to be held. And so then we would come lay out the spreadsheet, and that selection committee makes a decision that evening. Throughout that process, people are still signing up. The entire sign-up period is about three and a half months. And then installations, the installer starts contacting the co-op members, scheduling site visits, sending out proposals, and then installations begin. And then at the very end of the co-op process, when the vast majority of co-op members have their project complete, I come back and have a party. That is the co-op process in a nutshell. Just a quick summary. Why we come into a specific area is really the partners and the volunteers on the ground that will help us develop that co-op. The League of Women Voters across the state, the local chapters, have been a tremendous partner, helping us with the outreach and getting the word out through your contacts. The Sierra Club as well, multiple partners throughout the state have helped us. That's how and why we go into a region, if there are enough volunteers to really help us bring it to the area. So I encourage you, if you are not coming to your area, and I'll review that in a second, you could always contact, well, Deirdre, Deirdre can help with, she's been a tremendous help helping me with my pipeline of interested areas to go into. Right now we have right now we have 4 co-ops actually. Sarasota County is open until May 1st. We have 2 Broward County co-ops that are open until tomorrow. It's East and West Broward. And then we have Alachua County co-op that just launched last week. So those are open co-ops, and I encourage you, everyone, if you're in that area or know someone, go to FLSUN.org and choose the co-op and sign up today. Next month is Seminole County. We'll be launching a Seminole County co-op, and then we jump right into Miami. We have just hired a new Miami co-op coordinator, Jody Finber, who will be coordinating all 6 Miami co-ops, and they will launch the end of May, the first of 6, and that will go over, continue for the next 12 months. And then we jump right into the fall, where we have very strong interest in developing co-ops in the Tampa-Hillsborough area and North Pinellas. And then probably late August, early September, we have Volusia and Palm Beach. And then we're looking at strong interest from Manatee County, St. Augustine, Jacksonville, Collier, Lee, Highlands County, Bay County, and as of this morning, the Upper Keys. So we're very, very excited at the tremendous response and growth. This is a bright, sunny spot in Florida these days. And I think with that, we may be able to open it up for questions.
Great, thank you, Angela and Deirdre, for the great presentation. We have a few questions already, but I do want to remind folks that if you have a question, please use the control panel to type them in, and we will do our best to answer all the questions. Just go to the right-hand side of the screen and click Q&A, and go ahead and enter your questions in. So to get us started, and also as a reminder, this webinar is being recorded and will be available for replaying online later on. So we can direct you to that link later on. So digging into the questions now, here's the first question. If I was in a solar co-op, how much would it cost me out of pocket? It's a two-part question. How much would it cost me out of pocket? And then the second part, how much would I save on electricity? Maybe you could talk about maybe kind of average cost and average savings in the households?
So yes, we get that question a lot, and it's not the best answer, maybe not the answer you're looking for, but it greatly varies. It greatly varies because we all use different amounts of energy, and the size of your home, the size of your roof. Through the co-op, by signing up for the co-op, you will receive an individualized proposal once we get to the installer stage, and they can review. The first thing you do is you would send your utility bill to the installer, and then they will draft a proposal for you. And then it's up to you. You can take care of as much of your utility bill as you'd like, 50%, 100%. I would actually suggest around maybe 70%, because if you already haven't adopted energy efficiency things in your home, such as light bulbs, caulking your windows, and so forth and so on, you certainly want to do that maybe prior to going solar, or start off, kind of small. But to answer, long-winded answer, it just greatly varies.
And I would just add, this is Deirdre, that one of the things we've seen is that nationally the price per watt can be anywhere from $3 to $4, and we're seeing anywhere from $2 to $2.50. So basically it tells you there's a big decrease for households in Florida, particularly those that group together with the co-ops. And actually James Fenton, who runs the Solar Energy Center, said he joined one of our co-ops in Space Coast when he was on our call last night. But I can just speaking as one person, and again, it's different pricing to a certain extent around the state. My system cost about $11,000. I have 4 air conditioning systems on my house. So I would think Angela, would it be fair to say that depending on the size of your house and how much of your energy you want to cover, it could be somewhere between $7,000 and $20,000. Would that be a fair kind of range for people to, and that's a big change, because just a few years ago, and even 2 years ago, you're looking at, in the 20s and 30s. But now the prices come down so dramatically that as Consumer Reports in their August 2016 issue said, this is the time to put solar on, do it now. Dr. Fenton last night on our call said, anybody who has the ready cash and a roof that works for solar is crazy not to do it, because you're looking at a 14% return on your money, and you cannot get that nearly in the stock market, and it's guaranteed. So those are his words, not mine. But it is, it's a no-brainer basically right now for Floridians with our sunshine. And so I hope that gives a little specificity to the question.
Great.
Yeah, certainly now's the time.
And Deirdre, can you repeat those numbers again? What the average cost per watt is versus what nationally versus what the average cost per watt is in the co-op?
Yeah, and I want Angela to correct me if she feels differently, but I would have said the average nationally right now, if you were to get a quote, it would be anywhere from $3.50 to $4, and we're seeing from $2 to $2.50 in the co-ops in Florida. So that's quite a significant difference. And again, these numbers vary depending on the part of Florida and the part of America, but it is the concept of, you know, bulk purchasing, bringing neighborhoods and households together to help negotiate lower prices.
Right, and the cost per watt does vary, and there's different markets all around the state of Florida, but certainly going through the co-op, you will be receiving a significant discount, surely, as opposed to going outside the co-op. We see 20 to 25% savings.
Yeah.
Wow.
And just one point I want to just add, Angela went through the calendar, if you will, of what will be opening and some of the interest we've gotten. I think the co-ops are generally open anywhere from 3 to 4 months, so there's a window of opportunity for people in different parts of the state. Our plan is to try to circle back around, but really it's an opportunity for that 3 or 4 month period to jump in. And Angela also mentioned a lot of parts of the state, like Lee County, Manatee, the Keys. If you live in that part of the state and you're interested in being a part of this, some of the areas we've heard from are just expressions of interest. And the more interested citizens we have, as Margaret Mead said, never doubt for a moment that one person or a group of concerned citizens can change the world, because in fact it's the only thing that ever has. We need you to be that citizen. It's just like the woman who started the first one in Florida. She was listening to NPR, hearing about how this was happening in other states, and she thought to herself, gee, I'd like to have that happen in Florida because I want to put solar on my roof. So the next day she called our partner Community Power Network and she said, can we try to do a test pilot in Florida? That's how change happens. That's how history gets made, and it's in your hands. You're sitting on a superhero cape. So if you're interested in helping in this, and I hope you are, pick up the phone at the end of the call and call me, because I am really excited to begin to help develop this pipeline for our state. My number is 407-415-4559, or you can call Angela, both of us. But we want to begin to pull citizens together to make this grassroots renewable energy revolution.
That's awesome. Okay, so we have a question here about closing co-ops. Why do you close the co-ops, and is there another opportunity to get into a co-op if it's already been closed? For example, this person's in North Broward County.
Well, if they're in North Broward County, they need to sign up today. It's closing tomorrow. We have East and West. The defined geographic region there is Highway 441. Why do it's a limited time offer. It's only open for a short period of time. And quite frankly, I have to, I'm traveling all over the state. I have to keep moving I have a long pipeline, but if it just went on indefinitely, then there wouldn't be anything special about it, and it would certainly affect the request for proposals when we send this out. It's a competitive bidding process. So that just kind of would defeat the purpose of having it open, and there wouldn't be a better price. And so it's a limited, special, fun, 3 crazy months at the same time. So you can jump in while you can. If there's enough interest and we have funding to come back around to offer it, that's not guaranteed, but we certainly, with funding and additional interest after a co-op has closed, we're certainly up to suggestions and can certainly work with you. But yes, it's a 3 to 4 month process, and it's a special limited time offer, so we have to stick to that.
Okay, great. Can renters participate, and how about businesses?
I heard the second part of your question. I think you said small businesses. Yes, However, we caution because it's primarily for homeowners, residential roofs. But if it's a small business, as long as the process isn't dragging on or their project isn't too cumbersome for the installer and everyone else is getting, maybe their projects are falling behind. So I say yes, go ahead and sign up. We'll see as we go through the process. So yes, we cast a wide net. Feel free to sign up.
I think somebody also asked about renters, and renters is complicated. Condominiums are complicated because Florida is one of 4 states that doesn't allow anybody to compete with the utilities. So unless the whole condominium decides they want to go solar, I think that is complicated. So that has not been a focus on the co-ops. But Angela, do you want to comment on renters and also condominiums?
Well, renters, it would really be working through with the homeowner, and condominiums, we right now we suggest we may want to consider speaking to the condo association about maybe they're in favor or would be open to putting solar adding solar to their common areas. We have had a common area condo join one of our co-ops in the past, I believe in St. Pete, and it worked out well, but that's, again, that's another thing. If the process is not moving along smoothly, then we have to further have a conversation about that. But it's certainly, if the condo association's on board, that's really right now the only option for condo owners.
Yeah, I would just say that the point of this effort is to get the state to a tipping point where if people walk out of their homes and they begin to see solar everywhere, and our organization and our effort and our campaign isn't needed anymore. We're trying to get people comfortable and familiar enough, so it's not an answer to every need, but all it takes usually for things to happen is someone with persistence who keeps pushing and talks other people into it. So I wouldn't ever say no to anything having to do with solar.
Great, thank you. So here's another question. How close do the participating homes have to be? We'll start with that question, and I'll go on to the pieces of that question for the person who asked. But how close do the participating homes have to be within a town or a community?
Well, it matters by, like, for example, Alachua County is open, and that's any residential home, anyone that lives within Alachua County. Gainesville is in that county. It's just, that's a county-wide. So anyone within that county, when we're talking, for example, if like Sarasota, that's also county-based. Most of our Florida ones have been county-based, but if we went to a neighborhood, we would define that geographically to maybe just this one neighborhood, or say in the case of, it could be a street, it could be a neighborhood, but we would define that early on and let the co-op members know and define that at our solar information sessions that we would host. But right now, it's mostly county-wide.
And I think what we've tried to do is make the size of the co-op such that people would be willing to drive to public information sessions.
Right.
Okay, great. How about where people can look for more information on the local co-ops? Is that on the FLSUN website?
Yes. They can go to FLSUN.org. We have questions and answers. We have lots of resources there. There's a button, Go Solar, and you can look at the current open co-ops as well as look at the past co-ops in the state of Florida. We have had a total of 3 in Orange County and St. Pete and Space Coast. Everyone can go to any one of those sites, see the partners that we've had in those areas, and so just check it out, FLSUN.org.
And that's where you also go to sign up to be a participant. And I noticed somebody asked, do you have to go to the meeting in order to be a participant? And the answer is no. For that person in Broward who wants to join before it closes, you can go right now to www.flsun.org and then click on Broward or Alachua or Sarasota and get in simply by putting your information. And then, as Angela described earlier, our partner Community Power Network looks at your roof from long distance and is back in touch with you as to whether you're a good prospect. And there's no obligation. It's really, more than anything, it's just a chance to see if your roof is suitable for solar and whether you want to go the next step of getting a proposal.
Great. Sounds like a low barrier to entry. Just as a reminder to folks, we are recording the webinar and it will be available for playing later on the web, and we will send you the link to access that. So moving on to the next question, if somebody starts with a small solar panel installation, can they make it a bigger installation if they decide they want more solar power later?
Certainly. They can certainly start off small and add to it whenever. It's an individualized proposal, and that homeowner can decide how much solar they would like to go with. That's all in the hands of the individual co-op member.
Great. Do you allow installation of solar at locations other than roofs, like a ground-mounted solar system?
Certainly. Now, it also depends on the installer that's chosen, what they offer, but what we found is most, if not all, contractors that have bid on our project and are won do offer ground mount options, as well as some may offer the option to build a carport, have a solar carport.
Cool. So how many households does it take at minimum to put together a co-op?
So I would say we get to 30 to 40 signups, then we start working on our request for proposal to send it out to local and state contractors. So I would say certainly at a minimum 30 to 40 to really get things moving along. And that's what we've had tremendous success partnering with the League and Sierra Club and a host of other organizations, or just volunteers that have just contact us just to volunteer. Their help on the ground, getting the word out, emails, social media, tabling events, distributing flyers that we will provide for you. It's really a volunteer grassroots process. That really determines our signups and how well it goes. And the sooner the signups go up, the sooner we send out the RFP, the sooner we have more solar on roofs.
Great. Related to that, there's a question about if the incorporating the bulk purchasing aspect, if that slows down the process. So could you talk a little bit about how long it takes from initiating a FLSUN program in a community to the installations going up on roofs?
Sure. So if we have an open co-op, say for 3 months, the total co-op time frame through installations is typically, I would say 6. If we're open 3 months, then it's going to probably go on for 6 months. And we usually send out the RFP fairly early after launch because we have received at least 30 to 40 people sign up. When we send out that RFP, we give the installers a couple weeks. So we're talking probably about a month to 6 weeks, and then the installer receives all the names of the co-op members, and then they start contacting the co-op members in order that they signed up. So the very first person that signed up will receive the first phone call to schedule a site visit and receive a proposal, and then they just go down the line. But total from launch date to the very last is average about 6 months.
Okay, great.
Chris, if you don't mind, I'd like to just address the issue of financing, which I see has been brought up in a number of the questions, and I don't think either Angela or myself really discussed it. But there are a number of very exciting, low-cost financing options for households who don't have the ready cash to either put solar up on their roof or to purchase a more efficient air conditioning system, or to do some of the things that Angela mentioned, the caulking, the insulation, double pane windows. even LED light bulbs. Those kinds of improvements are all able to be funded by some of the very exciting PACE funding, property assessed clean energy funding mechanisms that many, many, many counties and cities in Florida have passed, and it's spreading like wildfire. From Y Green to SELF to PACE, there are many options, and the counties and cities set these programs up. Interestingly, it also helps consumers identify quality contractors. So it's a win-win all around, and we have a presentation on the League of Women Voters of Florida website to help any group that wants to present to their county commission or city commission that doesn't have these kinds of financing, because this is going to spread most effectively by grassroots encouragement. And being green is a very hot thing for local government. You see many, many more counties and cities now getting sustainability directors looking for ideas like these solar co-ops and like PACE funding, property assessed clean energy. So financing is an important part. We do not get involved in the financing other than at our public information sessions to put out on tables all of the various options that we're aware of so that people can be fully educated on it.
Right. We do have flyers. If there's local banks in the area, then we will let the community members know that there's a local bank. They're offering solar specific loans. There's also lines of home equity. There's also PACE. Jody Fenver, our new Miami Co-op coordinator, just created a great one-page flyer for all of our co-op members across the state with regard to PACE and SELF loans. So we distribute those at our solar information sessions, as well as all of our co-op members. When I see that they're in the proposal stage and they're kind of weighing the cost of solar, that cues me to send them financing information, anything and everything I can get my hands on that's available in their area.
That's great, and we have a related question also, which is how to, what are kind of some of the best practices to bring on local cities and counties and community partners. So you touched on that with the PACE program and the resources you have available on the website to talk to city and county officials about getting a PACE program going. Is there any other leadership that's needed by local communities to get a FLSUN program going?
I believe, well, I know with regard the question about regarding PACE and how to get that moving in the county and maybe municipalities is the league, actually, the local leagues, and that's on their website. There's a great PowerPoint that local leagues are actually encouraged to use and speak to their county and city officials to adopt PACE. And what was your second part of your question?
Is there any other, do the cities or counties have to come on board in any other way for the FLSUN program to happen, or is that independent of the local government?
No, no, we will develop a co-op whether PACE is there or not. Certainly, if PACE is available, we give out their information. If not, then we'll give out any other information that we have. Our co-op program, our pipeline is really developed by the number of volunteers on the ground that really bring us into the area. And there's enough volunteers and certainly funding for us to continue to offer it throughout the state. But it's outside of PACE, whether it's adopted or not. It certainly helps, though.
Let me just add that one of the things we've tried to do at the League, and the League is open to anybody in the state of Florida, and we've had a lot of interested people join because they want to get involved in this, and you don't have to join the League to get involved. We're working with several groups like the Sierra Club, the Audubon, and a very long list. But my point is elected official buy-in is not necessary. We haven't seen resistance anywhere, and in many cases, county and city governments have given us either in-kind or small grants in order to assist, and we've had mayors of both political parties be sponsors and use the co-op. Just recently, Republican Mayor Teresa Jacobson in Orange County was the spokesperson for our co-op, and she used the co-op to get the good pricing to put solar on her own roof. So we encourage elected officials to speak at our press conferences, to know about it. We like to let them know and be familiar with what the FLSUN co-op is, because we believe that one of the most important things we can do besides getting solar on people's roofs is educating the public and our elected officials and influencers so that we can really create a strong wall against the utilities who naturally are worried about clean renewable energy because they don't get the same high amount of billing from us that they do on the fossil fuels. So we do work hard to get political local official buy-in, but it isn't necessary, but it is desirable as far as the long term and seeing good public policy, good local and state laws being passed that continue to support solar. And there are two good things in place in Florida right now. Number one, everybody in this state is allowed to have solar on their roof, whether you live in a homeowners association that doesn't want it or not. By law, you're allowed to have it. And the second law is that every utility must participate in some way in net metering, which means they must buy back at some rate your unused electricity that you're creating on your roof with the solar panels.
Yeah, I think that's a great flag about using the FLSUN program as an opportunity to educate the community and elected officials. So if folks are interested, there are materials on the FLSUN website about how to get some buy-in from your community. Moving on to the next question, and this kind of dovetails with the policy assets that are already available in Florida. There's a question about the federal tax breaks and if they're still available. And I can just answer that real quick. The answer is yes. The solar tax credit, 30% tax credit, was extended through 2019, and then it steps down 4% a year to 2021, but for at least the next few years, it is expected to stay at 30%, assuming no further modifications by Congress, which don't look too likely at this point, but who knows. So yeah, federal tax breaks are still available. Now moving on to the next question. Elon Musk made big headlines talking about solar roofs. Will they be part of the FLSUN co-op program?
So it really depends on the installers that bid on our projects and what systems they are offering to the co-op. So FLSUN or any of our partners, we don't determine who bids on our projects or what systems they offer. We look into their systems that they're offering to the co-op to make sure, we know the background of them, but we don't determine what they offer. So that really, anything that we're seeing come out of with the solar tiles or anything with regard to the newest thing on, that's in the news is not necessarily going to be available for Floridians too. So we always caution and certainly, let people know, just keep that in mind. It may not even be certified to be sold in Florida for a while. We just don't know. And will a company that's offering such a product bid on our project? So it really is dependent on that.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. And we have a couple other questions about installers and providers. Someone asked about ESA. Are they still the selected installer?
Well, ESA specifically they were chosen for the most recent Orange County Solar Co-op, but they are just that installer that selection committee chose. And just because a selection committee chooses one installer for one group, in no way means that we don't have a preferred list of installers. It's starting at literally ground zero when we move into a new area. So now the new RFP co-ops and the co-op markets are different across the state. The pricings are different. The installers and contractors that bid on our projects are different. So in no way, we're able to collect feedback from our co-op members. So we have a vast knowledge base of reviews that we can share with future selection committees, but no, ESA is just, they were chosen for the Orange County Co-op.
Gotcha, okay. Now I have a few, following up on that, Orange County, I have a few kind of location-specific questions from folks about eligibility. There's someone in West Orange County. Does the Orange County Co-op, does that cover West Orange County as well? Is that still open?
No, the Orange County Co-op closed November 30th,
okay.
And that is not, yeah, it's not open to new signups.
Okay.
But we're hoping to come back around, and that's one of the issues here is the more interest we have in parts of the state, the more quickly, you know, we can ramp it up. Orange County has had 3 co-ops, and I just want to share the numbers because I think people would be interested in that. The first co-op generated 60 people. The second co-op a few months later generated 180 people. And the third co-op generated 600 people in Orange County. It's the largest co-op that we've seen nationally. And it was almost a little bit too big because one company has to try to digest that many interested prospects, which is why we're going to probably close our co-ops a little sooner. And I see that's one of the questions is why would you close a co-op? Well, and Angela may want to jump on that one. But so we will be coming back through Orange County at some point, but the next one is in this area is going to be Seminole, and anybody living in that area or nearby can I think that link may be already open on the FLSUN.org website. Has it been opened, Angela, Seminole?
No, Seminole does not launch till close to the end of May, and so we will have a site up once it's launched.
Okay.
Great. We got someone specifically asking about Seminole also. So there is your answer. Stay tuned, and you will have an opportunity in the next couple of months. Let's see here. Palm Beach County. There's someone from Palm Beach County. They say it's a very large county. Would it be advantageous to possibly create a separate Boca Raton co-op?
We're going to open in Palm Beach in the fall, and if that person is interested in helping, we're developing the steering committee, but I believe Angela has it on her calendar to open, is it September, October?
I believe so. We're maybe looking at September, but it's a big maybe. Palm Beach County, I would encourage this person to contact the local legal and the voters because they are really working on really developing the steering committee and defining the co-op, the geographic region, the events, planning out their whole strategy. So they could really use some volunteers. So please reach out to your local league.
And I just want to interrupt one second because I've seen a few questions. I'm reading them as you're reading them too, Chris. There are a number of people who want to help with this, who want to do, one writer wants to help do the presentation in order to build interest. And the question from the person in Palm Beach and a couple of others, please give me a call or send me an email. We want to get these interested steering committees together and get things moving as quickly as we can. I'm going to repeat my number because I generally take the first calls and then pass them on to Angela when they're a little more, the group is more developed, but my number is 407-415-4559, and my email is Florida League, like Florida League of Women Voters, @earthlink.net.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. So I see a couple of other specific questions here of folks potentially interested in getting them started in Leon County, in Pinellas, in the unincorporated community. As Deirdre said, just definitely give her a call. And on top of that, Deirdre and Angela, would you like to talk about basically what the steps are for folks who would want to get something going in their community?
Yeah, sure. The first step is really to create a steering committee, to get a group, and it starts with one person. It's like the first woman who started the first co-op in Florida, she went to her church and she said, listen, I want to get this going. Does anybody want to help me? And she got 2 or 3 people who said, sure, I want to do it. And that's how it begins. It starts with one person who's got a fire in their belly and is able to persuade a few more people. We have a lot of experience in the groups that have been historically interested, but we're always looking to, you know, it's a big tent. So we just added a huge mega church in Seminole. The Unitarian Church has been a regular participant, Audubon, Sierra, garden clubs, universities, the Green Building Council, teachers groups, school systems. The list is endless. It's just up to the imagination of that particular steering committee. So first step is steering committee, and then having a meeting, explaining it, and then getting Angela in to talk about next steps and begin to schedule what comes next. And the group that is volunteering is mostly helping find venues to have public meetings and helping get the word out. Angela and her staff are the ones that come in and do the actual public speaking and present the solar and do all the work with the solar installers and the bid process, but it's the participants who select the installer. But at the beginning, we're looking for people to help publicize this and help build a grassroots communication network to help educate the community that this is available, set up the venues and the public meetings. It's not that big a task, but it takes some group people who are really interested in this and willing to put some time into it for a few months.
Great. Building off of that, I'm sorry, Angela, did you want to add on top of that?
Oh no, that pretty much covered it. Just piggyback, yep, just what Deirdre said. Asking our partners on the ground and volunteers to help with the outreach. I come in as well as our Community Power Network staff. We manage all the sign-ups and throughout the installation phase and any inquiries that come in through our email, our inbox, and our phones. We manage the co-op members throughout the process, through installation, and in many cases thereafter. Our main ask for partners and volunteers on the ground is to help us with the local outreach, because that's really what drives the sign-ups to begin with, helping us maybe address the local media and so on. So that's your ask. We take care of the heavy lifting on through installation.
Great. Okay, we have probably a dozen more questions that we haven't had time to get to yet, and I do want to be respectful of everyone's time. We have the questions, and I'm going to make sure that Angela and that Deirdre have all of these, so if there's any that need individual follow-up, for example, from the folks who are interested in getting involved or have questions about their specific program, like in Citrus County, you know, we'll make sure that we get back to you. But I do want to just thank everyone for being on the line today. Angela and Deirdre, I really want to thank you for offering your perspective and knowledge on the programs here today, for all the work you're doing, and for taking the time to share that with us here today. So, you know, just in closing, I want to thank everyone for the questions. Again, the presentation has been recorded, and it will be available on the webinar archive page of cleanenergy.org. We'll also send a link to that recording once it's been processed. It usually takes a couple days, but it should be up later this week or early next week. If you enjoyed today's presentation, please consider joining SPACE so that we can continue to work towards clean energy solutions for the Southeast. Visit cleanenergy.org for info on how to join and become involved. And again, visit FLSUN. Let's see, what's the FLSUN website folks should go to? Is FLSUN.org?
Yep. Yeah, that's it.
FLSUN.org for more information on the program. And Angela and Deirdre, are there any you know, last closing thoughts that you'd like to share with folks?
Get on the Facebook page, FL space Sun, SUN.
Yes,
Angela?
like our Facebook page, feel free to reach out to me or my team, and our team is solarteam@flsun.org if you have additional questions. And all of our information is on flsun.org, as well as any kind of financing, anything you'd like to know is on flsun.org.
Okay, great. Well, thanks a lot again, everyone. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and we'll talk to you later. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.